Exod Lock deck I created a couple of weeks ago. Now that the two new cards, the Exodia support cards, have been released on Dueling Network. They do have different names from the ones on DevPro when it was originally released for the OCG, but the effects are exactly the same. I've tweaked the deck ever so slightly, so just wanted to let you know what I'll be running, and then I've already been playtesting a little bit on Dueling Network, and I'll be getting some games together and hopefully being able to post those to my channel just so you can see how good this new deck is, or at least can be. So 4 of your normal Forbidden One pieces and the head of Exodia. It's not your only win condition, as we've discussed before. 2 card Cardi. In matches, this is one of the cards I'm more likely to actually take out the deck. Sometimes I'm finding that certainly Performer Pals are very in vogue at the moment, and everyone seems to be playing them. And this deck actually has a good matchup against them, particularly if you can get a Kaiser Lock straight up with the Summoned One, or as he's now known, Summoned Lord Exodia. If you can get him on the field with a Kaiser Lock, a lot of the Performer Pals don't actually run MST because they just run so many pendulums. And they do run things like Solemn Notice, but because they run so many pendulums and so many other cards to get these monsters onto the deck, onto the field, they don't run as much back row decluttering. So you get that Kaiser Lock up and running, and they're in so much trouble. Like I was playing a guy the other day who got 5 random rank 4s onto the field. Although I had a skill drain, metal reflect, and Imperial custom lock on the board. Threw up the Kaiser, and then I drew into Obliterate, which is now the new name for Exod Flame, and just popped away, sending his monsters back to his hand. And then I drew into Summon Lord, and of course then you can just go for game as and when. But yeah, Card Car is great for getting through that deck quickly, but as I've discussed, you do need to normal summon to be able to special summon the Summon Lord. So Card Car sometimes gets in the way a little bit, sometimes it's not necessarily a massive dilemma, but the dilemma can be, do you summon the Summoned Lord by normal summoning Exodia piece and going into the Summoned Lord, or do you play Card Car, get those couple extra cards worth of draw in the hope that it strengthens your hand so the next turn you can set up for an Unbreakable Lock. But yeah, that's one of the cards that I sort of do side out when playing a match. 3 Summoned Lord, we've discussed him, absolutely OP. Just what are you going to do? Destroy him by battle? Oh wait, I've got 3 Forbidden One monsters in my hand, I'll just draw another 3 cards. Thank you very much. Oh wait, I've drawn into another one as well, I'll special summon that. This monster, when up on the field with Obliterate, what used to be Exod Flame, a Kaiser Lock, you special summon him, you throw out Skill Drain, your opponent is in all sorts of trouble. But I said, has that synergy with the Metal Reflex, so you can go into your rank 10 Xyz. I don't often do that, because the thing with going into your rank 10s is you run the risk then of them playing something like a Solemn Warning or a Solemn Notice, which doesn't affect this card normally, but when you put it together with Metal Reflect or another Summon Lord, I mean, I would never ever put rank up with 2 Summon Lords. That's just ridiculous, unless you're going for a really trolly finish when you're going for that Gustav Max burn damage at the end. But never ever do that. The Xyz are there as a last resort, and I would always recommend, if you're going to go into them, make sure you've already got 1 Summon Lord up on the field, or make sure you're using another one, or make sure you're doing it with the Metal Reflect slimes. 3 Chicken Game, obvious. 1 Day of Peace, obvious. Now running 3 Duality, I think it's more consistent. Yes, it means that you cannot special summon the Lord on the same turn, but you've got to be able to pick out the right card at the right time. Say you've got him on the field, perhaps he's not particularly well protected by having enough Exodia monsters in the graveyard, so his attack's not particularly high, Pot of Duality, and you might be able to get into Scrub Braid and you're protecting him that little bit longer. It's just ensuring you can get those combo lock pieces together. So 3 Duality from the last video I created. 3 Upstart Goblin, have some life points. 3 Dark Bribe, I did say I wanted to get this card up to 3 in the deck. It is now at 3. Bribe is so important, particularly with the number of pendulum decks you're coming up against at the moment. Coming across so many different pendulum decks, and yes, sometimes bribing it so it ends up going to the extra deck is not necessarily an optimum play, but there are certain cards in Performer Piles that do cause issues. Any of the, was it the Draco Slayer? Let me see if I can find it quickly. Like Monkey and all of that, they don't cause you that much of a problem. But Draco Slayer can be a little bit of a bitch. It's not a massively powerful effect, but it allows them to just siphon through their deck, and what they're doing is they're then filling up their extra deck with the other pendulum monster that, you know, that they're just popping off that effect constantly. You know, if you have a card in the other pendulum zone, destroy that card, and if you do, add one card from your deck to your hand. So they're providing their extra deck with cannon fodder so they can pendulum summon. So this guy is the one that you really want to stop. Obviously, Solemn Notice and things like that are important to stop as well, but once you've got Summon Lord on the field, you're on the whole good to go. But Dark Bribe's just too important not to have at 3. I did say it in the last video, it is now at 3. 3 custom, you've got to protect your continuous trap cards. 3 Metal Reflect Slime, because with that and custom on the field, try and get over it. Particularly if you put it together with a Kaiser Lock, you're just slowing your opponent's ability to be able to do anything. And particularly when so many decks are pendulum decks, at the moment, stopping them from pendulum summoning is just the most important thing you can possibly do. So if you've got that Kaiser Colosseum out on the field, then monsters start exiting into generic rank 4s, or just use their effects to pop off your back row. Metal Reflect's great, obviously rank 10 access as well. Realistically, Gustav Max is the only one you'll be going into. Possibly Sky Palace if there's that one particular card that you need to get rid of. But as I said, Solemn Notice is seeing a lot of play at the moment, so I'm dubious when I'm going into my rank 10s, but it is a thought. It is there if you need it, but do keep it in mind. So the thought that they've got a lot of back row to stop special summoning and effects these days in the game, so do be aware of that. 3 Obliterate, I really don't like this new name for it. I mean, I always thought Exod Flame should have been Exodo Flame, but Obliterate does seem a bit of a silly name because you're not obliterating your opponent, you're just bouncing the card back to hand. Like, if it was destroy the card, then yeah, absolutely call it Obliterate, but hey ho, what do I know? Fantastic card, protected by Imperial Custom. You can use it in your opponent's turn as well. You can use it to target the Summoned Lord. So if they've got a monster who's got more attack by, say, 300-400 points, you can use it on the Summoned Lord in their battle phase. Send one of your Forbidden War monsters to the grave. His attack's now 3,000. Oh, you can't get over it. Oh, you're not going to attack. You're going to end your turn. Fantastic. Thanks very much. Also, you can use it with Scrub Raid, either in your own battle phase or your opponent's battle phase, to bring back a Forbidden One monster to the grave, from the grave to the hand. Sorry. So, for instance, if you got 3 Exodia pieces in your hand, 2 in the graveyard, you've got a Lord on board. You know Lord's going to bring one back to your hand at the end of the turn. You can just use a Scrub Raid with Obliterate to get the other one. So you've complete Exodia. But normally I end up, if I'm Scrub Raiding Obliterate, it's to bring a Summoned Lord from the deck to the... from the graveyard to my hand, so I can re-summon him in main phase 2. It's important to have that control with the Summoned Lord on the field. So also when you're sending your opponent's monsters back to their hand, yes, you're dumping Exodia pieces because they're the ones you want to bring back through Summoned Lord's effect. But do be aware that you may feel you want to dump a Summoned Lord to the grave and then use Obliterate's effect next turn or on your own turn via Scrub Raid to bring that particular card back to your hand. And that way you might have 2 Summoned Lords on the field. It's just using it. It's a really good toolbox card. It's very effective with the Kaiser Lock because you're just limiting what your opponent can do. Works great with Scrub Raid as well, and obviously with the Summon Lord, the 2 cards were meant to be played together. So fantastic card. 3 Scrub Raid, as I've said, this is like the most underused or underknown toolbox card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a fantastic card and will keep you alive long enough so you can get everything on the field. so you have to run it at 3. Skill drain at 1, obligatory. I think it works well. As I've said in the last video, just be aware you want Summon Lord on the field before you activate skill drain. Otherwise it will negate its effects if you play skill drain before he's special summoned. However, if he's special summoned before you play skill drain doesn't affect it. Think of it like Jinzo in that sense. Statue of Anguish Pattern is at 1. I am playing this card. I know I said I was sort of bringing this in and out of the deck. I know I could run... Let me just quickly... Lag. Oh, for fuck's sake. Real professional video here today, guys and girls. Yeah, you could run Abyss Stingray, purely for the fact it can't be destroyed by battle. That is a really... I might even put 1 in the extra deck. How about it? In the side deck. I think it's a good alternative to Statue of Anguish. And in Exodia Tormentor's Exod Lock, actually Abyss Stingray is a better card than Statue of Anguish. But the reason why I like, personally, Statue of Anguish is because of that. If you special summon a monster from your spell trap zone, while this card is a monster, you can target one card in the field and destroy it. That is a really nice little effect to be able to get off if your opponent's playing something crazy that is causing you problems. Also, it puts them on the back foot a bit, because then they don't know that if your other face-down cards are all monster cards, or Metal Reflex or whatever. So it stalls them from doing anything. I just like that effect where I can pop. Yes, not being destroyed by battle is a much, much better effect. But hopefully you're going to be running Imperial Custom when you're playing this anyway. So, you know, I don't know. I know this is then, if you don't have Custom, this is protected by everything else apart from battle. So if you've got this and Scrub Raid, you know, you can end the battle phase. But for me, I personally prefer Anguish Pattern just for that back row popping effect. However, I would completely understand if you wanted to run Abyss Stingray. That, you know, it's likely a better card in a lock deck, absolutely. Just for how I like to play, I like Anguish Pattern. And 3 Kaiser Colosseum, keep them on the back foot. The side deck is a little bit more of a genuine side deck. 3 Prohibition, so you can tech out a few bits and pieces and you can run it. See, if you really, really wanted, you could tech out Summon Lord and Obliterate and run it as with add in 3 Prohibition, Statue of Anguish and Stingray, and just run it as a genuine lockdown deck. It's just there for sometimes there's going to be something that's causing you problems, and you just want to perhaps play the game differently. You can't play it as aggressively, because that's what the new support allows you to do, is play Exodia in an aggressive fashion. So you can slow the game down and prohibit that MST, prohibit that whatever it might be. So Prohibition's at 3 on the side. I'm running 2 Planter. I've taken them out of the main deck because I just think it's too slow. I know I discussed this in the last video that I thought perhaps it may be too slow. It is too slow. It's way too slow. But if you are going for that lockdown version, where you're just looking to draw into Exodia, then actually bringing in 1 or 2 magic planters when you're increasing the number of continuous traps by throwing in a couple of Anguish Patterns or a Stingray. This is a good card to reintroduce to your deck, just so you can speed through the deck a little bit more quickly. Gold Sark, Terraforming, just random one-offs, a couple of Solemn Notices. I don't think they'll see some play, but they're just there anyway. The other Anguish Pattern, 1 for 1, really was toying with this, because I think this is quite a good card that if you could get it to work, you know, you send 1 monster from your hand to the graveyard, special summon 1 level 1. In essence, you could be putting 2 Forbidden 1 monsters into the graveyard at the point where you've special summoned the Exodia Summon Lord card. You know, you drop 1 into the grave as a cost for 1 for 1. This is on the field, and then you use it to to special summon him. So he's already got 2,000 attack when you're up and running. I haven't really given it much play testing, but it was an idea that came to my mind and thought it might be viable. A Gravely Super Ancient Organism. I have been play testing this with mixed results. I think with Performer Pals, this card is not as effective as I'd like it to be, because they do run a lot of rank 4 spam, but with other decks like Cosmo, this is a really, really good alternative to Skill Drain, because you can just run this, take Skill Drain out and run this at 3. Again, same logic with Skill Drain with the Summoned Lord as with a Super Ancient Organism. If the Summoned Lord is out first before this, then fantastic, it's golden. Otherwise, it will not be able to activate its effects. So just be aware of that. And then Ibis Stingray that we've just popped in there. For the extra, 3 Sky Palace, 3 Super Dreadnought, 3 Super Dimensional, 3 Gustav Max, 1 number 99, 1 C92, and 1 number C9. These just, four level 10 monsters, and I don't even think the effects are that great either. But yeah, you very rarely go into these, but I just wanted to fill up my side deck, extra deck with a couple of more rank 10s. I suppose the only thing you could do is if you are running multiple Anguish patterns, is you could drop Draco Sack and Big Eye in there. But anyway, I'm going to hopefully record some more footage for you, and I'll do it on Dueling Network now because all my Dev Pro footage got corrupted, which is an absolute damn shame after the update. Basically, my after they changed all the names, my Exod Flame and Summon 1 cards just weren't harmonising with a new engine. So I'll create some new stuff on Dueling Network for you, and hope to hear some comments from you soon, how you might improve it, how you'd like to run it, whether you think it's a good deck or not. So peace!